Hallo Leute, hier ist Karl aus Ägypten, ich studiere Medizin und jetzt lerne ich auch Deutsch, denn ich möchte nach Deutschland fahren. Und jetzt, ihr seht Deutsch für euch.
If at any point you've interacted with real native Germans before, you will have heard these little words that we tend to pepper in all of our sentences and that don't seem to make a lot of sense even though you technically know what they mean, or at least you thought so. I'm talking, of course, about the Modalpartikel, or as I've called them before, filler adverbs. Whatever you call them, they're words like doch, mal, halt, denn, und so weiter. Today we're taking a look at 4 of them. Doch, ja, denn, and mal. There's more, of course, but I don't want to crowd your head, so let's stick to 4 and you'll actually know and remember what I was talking about. But, as usual, before we get into things today, it's sponsor time! This episode of DFE is sponsored by Lingoda. Why did I say it that weirdly? Anyway, Lingoda. If you don't know them yet, Lingoda are an online language school situated in Berlin that offer classes for a bunch of languages, among them German. Over the last few years, they have established themselves as one of the #1 brands to learn German and definitely #1 language school online. And that comes through a few things, such as offering classes 24/7. So whenever and wherever you are and have time for a class of German, you can book a class with them according to your schedule. You can either take private classes or group classes, though group classes are limited to up to 5 people so it doesn't get too crowded. And through getting personal attention from a teacher when you need it, working together with others, and also having materials provided to you before and after classes that you can study with, you will get an overall experience that will boost your fluency and hopefully, if you do it long enough, your confidence in speaking German, which is super important. If it helps you, you can even do take-home quizzes and homework so you keep yourself working even after class and can figure stuff out on your own. Now, it's no secret that I've been promoting Lingoda on my channel for a while, and there's a good reason for it. I think it's a really good quality product, and it's not too expensive either, so that's always good. But if you want to try it first, if you haven't heard of it before, I have a code for you that will help you do that. That code is the code that you can see down here in the banner, and it will give you 20 euros off of your first month if you do decide to sign up with Lingoda. Before you do that, you can take a 7-day trial, during which period they give you 3 free classes so you can see if the style that they teach with is for you. So go check out Lingoda. They do cool promotions regularly, they keep on top of it, and they're always innovating new stuff to keep it interesting for you and to keep you learning most effectively and efficiently so you get the worth for your money. The link is in the description. Use my code to get a discount on your first month, and don't forget to make use of their 1-week free trial. Viel Spaß! Alright, now to get back to the particles. Not to be confused with the articles. The very thing that makes these things tricky is that it's kind of hard to explain how they even work because they are limited to spoken language, casual language only, but in that, they're used a lot. So first up, doch. Doch, as you probably know, is usually the contradictory yes. So when somebody tells you to clean up your room and you say nein and they say doch, that's the contradictory yes. Yes, you will do it. Now this is not at all how doch acts, or well, it's not very close to how doch acts as a Modalpartikel. A mom might say to her teenager, ach, räum doch mal dein Zimmer auf. Oh, come on, just clean up your room. That's one way to use doch, when you're asking someone or telling someone to do that. Ach komm, mach das doch mal. It softens the blow. So when I say räum dein Zimmer auf, it sounds stricter than when I say räum doch mal dein Zimmer auf. So you will hear this used a lot by not so strict parents or not so strict teachers. So anyone in a position of authority that's maybe not as comfortable with it, but let's not psychoanalyze that much maybe. Just basically when you're using it in an imperative, so in a sentence that is telling someone to do something, you use doch to be like, hey, I'm trying to talk to you on one level, even though I need to tell you to do something right now. Geh doch mal ins Bett jetzt, es ist schon so spät. Ach, mach das doch bitte, wenn ich dir das sage. In statements, so phrases that are not telling someone to do something, we use doch when we have a sense or the opinion that the other person already knows what we're talking about. So the doch is kind of in there as like a little reminder of a, hey, I thought you knew this already, right? For example, hä, das weißt du doch. There's an implied question in there as if, you know that, right? Or if somebody is confused to see you and you say, aber wir hatten doch gesagt, wir treffen uns. Das kannst du doch nicht machen. You can't just do that. So there, it's not a right, it's more of like, it should be obvious that that's not something you can do. Das kannst du doch nicht machen. You can also use it in situations where you're talking to yourself, so it doesn't always have to be to somebody else. So for example, if you were convinced that you put your glasses somewhere and then they're not there, you might say, hä, ich hatte die doch dahin gelegt. And then lastly, we have one specific combination that you will encounter in casual speech, but that's actually more related to the contradictory yes, and that being doch nicht. Ach, das habe ich doch nicht gesagt. In that case, it's just after all. I didn't say that after all. Although, not to be confused with, hä, das habe ich doch nicht gesagt. Hä, what? I didn't say that and you know it. Das habe ich doch nicht gesagt. Oh, I didn't say that after all. I didn't do that after all. Das habe ich doch nicht gemacht. Versus, das habe ich doch nicht gemacht. I didn't do that. Do you really think I would do that? Ja. Now, of course, you know what ja is. Ja is the non-contradictory yes. Speaking less complicated. Yes. In statements, again, it's the sense of you already know this information. But when compared to doch, while doch is kind of making a request of like, hey, you know this, remember? Ja is saying, you know this and I know that you know, right? So ja is the more confident way of saying like, well, as you're aware, blah, 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 blah. So for example, comparing, hä, das weißt du doch, where that's like, you know that, right? Or, come on, you know that. I'm counting on you to confirm what I'm saying here. Das weißt du doch. Das weißt du ja is like, oh, but you know that already. You know that. I don't need to tell you that. Das weißt du ja. And so in sentences, it will appear in the same way. Ja, das hatten wir ja besprochen. Naja, also ich hatte ja gesagt, dass ich heute hierher komme und deswegen bin ich da. Okay, also du solltest ja dein Zimmer aufräumen und das hast du ja gemacht. Deswegen ist alles gut. It can also be used to express a sort of surprise. So one sentence you will find a lot is saying, oh, das ist ja adjective. Das ist ja toll. Oh, that's great. Like, oh man, I didn't think that would happen. Das ist ja toll. Oh, that's so nice to hear. Das ist ja toll. Oh nein, das ist ja schlimm is the opposite of that. Oh no, that's horrible. What? What? How could that happen? Das ist ja schlimm. Das ist ja komisch. Now that's strange. Na, das ist ja eine Idee. Or, na, du hast ja Ideen. And then lastly, ja can also be used in imperatives, so orders, in which case it's a very different word. It basically is an emphasis. Hör mir ja zu. Oh, you better listen right now. Or if it's a negative, it's more like don't you dare. Oh, mach das ja nicht. Denn. Now, if you know denn already, then you will know it as a conjunction. That means something like because. So establishing a causal relationship. Denn is a little bit easier because it's not used in as many different contexts. It's usually used in questions and expresses a more deep interest or a more specific, poignant, interest in what you are saying. Was ist denn is kind of implying that I'm ready to listen closely to you, etc. So it's kind of hard to explain what exactly it does, but you will hear it in questions such as was ist denn or was hast du denn gemacht? It's again kind of a softener, can take the aggression out of a question, but can also show closeness. So if a German sees a child crying, they're much more likely to say, oh, was ist denn, than saying, was ist? Was ist? They might say, was ist los? But they might also say, was ist denn los? Was ist denn los? Was hast du denn? Was wolltest du denn? So placement, as you can see, is usually placed at the end of the question unless we have a two-part verb, in which case, of course, the second part of the verb always goes at the end. If you want to know more about how to structure sentences, click here. I made a whole series on the German syntax. We're not going to get into that now. But den usually comes at the end of a question to kind of make it softer and to focus in on the question, on the person that you're asking a question. And then the last one for today, mal. Mal is short for einmal, which means one time, once. And you maybe know it in that context already as well. Oh, das habe ich schon mal gesehen. I saw that before. I've seen that before. I've seen that once before. As a modal particle, this meaning is kind of abstracted. It's still related, but we use it in the sense of like, I can't do this right now. I don't have the capacity for this right now. Either it's time or mentally, or maybe I just don't want to. It basically means like, that's your department. You do it. Mach du das mal. Or you go ahead and do that. However, depending on the emphasis, it can also mean I'm impatient with you. How about you do this for once? So there we definitely get the connection to the once thing again. So if I say, bring du mal den Müll raus, it can mean, oh, I'm busy. Can you just go do it real quick? If I say, kannst du mal den Müll rausbringen? Bring mal den Müll raus. It means, can you just do it for once? You never do it. Just do it. Just do it! And because of that, it's often used in requests or orders that are phrased as a question. So for example, räumst du mal dein Zimmer auf? Could be a very soft way of asking your child to clean their room. Räumst du bitte mal dein Zimmer auf? So the mal doesn't really mean once, really. It's kind of like, can you do that? Mal, can you get there right now? Like, can you just find time to do that for once? And because of that, it's often combined with doch. Räum doch mal dein Zimmer auf. Oh, come on, honey. Come on, can you please go clean up your room? Now, you don't have to sound that submissive, of course. You can also say that with a very different tone, like, ach, räum doch mal dein Zimmer auf. Mach das doch mal weg. Lass das doch mal. So especially when you're annoyed, you might throw in a mal to kind of communicate, okay, I am not super angry yet, but I'm getting there, so stop what you're doing or do what I'm telling you to do or something like that. Because of this, the sentence mach das mal can either sound annoyed, mach das mal, get it done, or it can mean, okay, yeah, you go do that, okay, mach das mal. So mal will be used a lot in orders or requests. Kannst du das bitte mal machen? Bring bitte mal den Müll raus. Räum mal dein Zimmer auf. Räum doch mal dein Zimmer auf. Kannst du mir mal helfen, bitte? So I could say the same sentence at least 3 different ways when I say, kannst du das mal machen? Kannst du das mal machen? Ja, kannst du mal machen. And that's it. That's our 4 particles for today. I think that's plenty. To quickly recap. Doch implies, I think you have this information already, but I'm not sure, so I'm trying to remind you. Das weißt du doch. You know that, right? Or it's used to soften the blow in requests and orders. Ach komm doch. Ja is also used when you think that the person you're talking to already knows this information, but it's delivered with much more confidence. So instead of making an appeal for the person to remember what they already know, you are kind of presupposing, oh, you are aware of that. Ja, das weißt du ja. In some exclamations, it expresses surprise. For example, oh, das ist ja super. And sometimes you will find it in threats, especially negative threats. Mach das bloß nicht. Mach das ja nicht. Denn is only used in questions and is used to focus in on who you're asking, and it makes it sound, again, a little softer. So, was ist denn? Even though, of course, you can say it in an aggressive way, it's always this sense of, I am focused on you now, I am listening to you now, so please tell me what it is you have to tell me or what I'm asking for. Was ist denn? Was ist denn los? Was hast du denn? That kind of thing. And then lastly for today, mal is used, well, it's used in statements where it means once for once. Ich habe das mal gesehen. Ich habe das mal gemacht. I've done that before. But in requests and orders, it's used for 3 things. It can either mean I'm busy, you do it. So, mach du das mal, mach das mal bitte. It can mean, do it, you never do it, you've never done it, you were supposed to do it for a long time, so do it now. Mach das mal bitte jetzt. Kommst du mal? Or, you're just softening the blow, much like with doch, which is why they are often combined. Komm doch mal, mach das doch mal bitte. Alright, that's it for today. This already got longer than I thought, but these are kind of tough to explain for how simple and small they are. Let me know if you would like to see more of these, where I talk about other particles such as schon, einfach, vielleicht, gar, halt, that kind of stuff. Let me know if you found this helpful. And don't forget to subscribe and click the like button and the bell and whatever. You know the drill. It helps YouTube recognize that you like this. So, before we get to the random word of the week for this week, I want to say thank you to all of my patrons. Those are the people that are floating by on this list right now. They're all lovely people supporting DFE financially over on Patreon, which means that I can keep the show going, and they get a few rewards such as being on this list, scripts from our grammar episodes, ad-free versions of these videos, and other stuff. If you want all the details, you can visit the link in the description that's also on the screen right now. Check it out if it is for you. Thank you to everyone who's already doing it, and a special thanks to everyone pledging $10 or more. You're great. Dankeschön. Das ist ja voll super. Also, another private news, guys. I'm now done with my degree, at least in English and in Russian. I still have to finish my third subject, but I've handed in my thesis, I've done my oral exams, and it looks like I'll be passing with good grades, so everything's great. And I finally have my head a bit more free again. So that's cool. And now you can tell me, na das ist doch schön. Das ist doch toll. Or, das ist ja prima, if you're surprised and didn't have any information about it. Das ist doch mal eine schöne Neuigkeit. Or, if you don't know what I was studying, you could ask, was hast du denn studiert? Which, by the way, the answer to that is studying to be a teacher, just finished English and Russian. But now, you finally get the random word of the week, which is die Querflöte. Well, now it has lipstick on it, how great. Querflöte, because Flöte means flute, and quer, because it is to the side. So it's quer. Die Querflöte. Alright, now that's it for real. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss!